targeted to underserved populations. And we're there for victims of fire and natural disaster, with a helping hand to buy food, medicine, or clothing when they are left with nothing. We are the California Fire Foundation, and we're there for California's families in times of need. You can make a difference in their lives. Please visit cafirefoundation.org to make a donation today.
It has taken more than a decade for the California Firefighters Memorial to pass from a distant dream to the reality that we're about to unveil today. It carries the names of 855 men and women, 855 different stories, every one of them important to you, the firefighters, important to all of us, the citizens of California.
The single, driving force behind all of this, and so much for California firefighters in the last 40 years, was Dan Terry. I mean, it was his vision that saw not only the need, but the path to get this memorial actually built, and that's saying a lot.
When I originally thought about this, and I thought, okay, it's a wonderful thing, and I went to the one in Colorado Springs that the International has, but I thought, there's all kinds of people that'll never go to Colorado Springs or never be able to. So we need to have a place for those members and those families to have their own memorial.
I was kind of there on the ground floor. Later on, I was appointed to the site selection committee and went through that process. When we walked this very piece of ground, I remember thinking, boy, this would be a nice spot.
Everybody said, well, you can't do that there. Well, we said, well, why can't we? It's a park, it's a public park, it's the home of the state capitol. Well, you just can't do that there. So we ended up literally having to pass a bill that says we could do it there.
Probably in the mid-late 90s, you really become aware that they're going to build a firefighters memorial at the Capitol grounds, and the awareness really started with the license plates.
There's zero public money involved in this. We, as a profession, got together and we did it, whether it be a license plate or there's people raising money for us all over the state. And so it's theirs too.
When you're involved or have knowledge of a memorial from the very ground floor, that the history and the true meaning. Every time I come here, it's in your chest.
Let me tell you, this is a living memorial. Every statue here has some significance.
One of the ones that really captures me is fallen brother, Jerry Shannon, a firefighter in San Francisco, and the rescue that he did.
Who actually cut a woman out of the Loma Prieta earthquake and saved her life at great peril to his own. And that's him.
Members of the Sacramento Fire Department took the fallen brother statue off of the truck and assisted in setting it where it is today. That was handled by on-duty firefighters from this city.
The other statues, every one has some significance. The California Fire Service is diverse. We have an African American advancing that line. We have a Latino advancing the line. We have a young man who actually was killed in a fire from Cal Fire. And we have one of the absolute first women fire chiefs in the state of California.
So to honor all in our profession and to honor their loved ones who also give so much, it's now my distinct privilege to ask for the unveiling of Fallen Brother.
And I know every one of us is excited and proud that our loved one's sacrifice will be immortalized on the wall behind me. But I also know there isn't one among us that wouldn't give up all that excitement and pride for one more day with the person whose name is etched on the wall. I ask for the unveiling of Holding the Line.
Huge amounts of people here, lots of TV. It was a big, big thing in Sacramento. And I think at that point is when I realized, wow, this is really something we can be proud of.
To continue honoring our fallen brothers and sisters, we must expand the current memorial in a thoughtful and meaningful way. Over the past year, the Foundation has explored impactful ways to expand the memorial, including selecting the right designer that will honor the intention and original elements of the memorial. The Fallen Brothers statue was created by the late Jesus Romo, a noted artist and retired Sacramento City Battalion chief. His son, Adon, who is a public works artist and was present for the creation of the original memorial site, has been chosen to design the expansion.
The blessing that we've had with the Romo family to be so connected with this over 20 years. They're not just an engineering firm that we hired or an artist that we hired.
I can almost mark our family pre-memorial and post-memorial. It really was a changing point for us. It feels like I've been preparing for this moment my whole life.
Those two men, over the lifetime of this memorial, visualized that at some point we're going to have to expand it to add names, and they were thinking about it.
Don took a chance, quite honestly. He showed us a design without any promises or anything. He's not a firefighter, but he grew up in a firefighter's family. He gets it.
The memorial, for me, it had to be a home, to build a setting where people felt welcome, and there was a way to tell the meaningful, rich story of the fire service.
When I first saw the presentation and the design, I was speechless. It literally is going to be a memorial that funnels you in. And it's going to be the little and the subtle things.
Like any home, the front entrance really says a lot about a home. We're also adding accessibility to holding the lines. We've included 6 new bronze relief panels, which will be little vignettes from California's history and the fire service.
We're looking at what the visitors to the memorial have told us over time, watching their actions. Fallen brother, if you look at the statue itself, you'll see that the hand of the fallen firefighter is polished. It's polished from people touching it.
I've taken the sculpture, which right now is a little bit difficult to interact with, and I've moved it to the center, the heart of the memorial.
A remarkable part of the redesign is that we have incorporated the existing wall without any changes. When a family has gone up and done a chalk outline of that name that is their family member in that location, you can't change that.
So I had to come up with a concept that worked with the wall, but be an extension of it.
The new wedges that are being put in place represent the head of a firefighter axe.
All I did was took those and replicated them so that we have now 8 new walls that give us an expansive opportunity for new names with an additional 6 other coats and helmets.
You won't know some of those until you actually get a bird's eye view from above. The way that those are arranged represent the Maltese cross.
In the 20 years the memorial's been there, we refer to as the front side and the back side, and really that's disingenuous because there are names on the front and back.
We're going to expand some of the east entrance so that when you come into the memorial, no matter what entrance you come into, it will be recognizable as the Firefighters Memorial.
Our design concept has an additional piece of art which will represent today's fire service.
And that'll be a piece called Fires Out, where I envisioned in that quiet moment of catching your breath, there's this deep, profound shock and realization that one of the members of your 4 unit didn't make it. And these 3 are going to be looking at the memorial names.
No matter what it costs and no matter how long it takes, we're going to get this done. It's important, not just for us, but for our future.
Every year, we're going to add names to the wall. That is the nature of the job, that is the risk. And I think that our memorial represents that well, that it is a living memorial to the men and women that serve California in the fire service.
personnel, order! Halt!
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for our national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good afternoon. On behalf of myself, the Sacramento Area Fire Chaplaincy, our elected officials, dignitaries, and our Sea of Blue, our men and women, we recognize and honor you today with all we have. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for coming here today to honor our fallen brothers today. Would you join me for a brief prayer and blessing on these families today, this afternoon? Good afternoon, Heavenly Father. Would you come and comfort these families today, Lord? May your peace and comfort rain down on these families who have lost so much. Lord, we pray for each family here and those who could not be with us today, Lord. We know you hear our prayers, and we take great comfort in that. Lord, our hearts ache each year as we remember those who have gone on before us. May we never forget, ever, never, our brothers and sisters who paid the ultimate sacrifice. For we read in your word and take comfort from your words. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or sorrow or crying or pain. All of these things are gone forever. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for a new day. And we ask that you look out for all these families here today that we are honoring, not just today, but in the weeks and years to come. And we ask this in the strong name of Jesus. Amen.
Uniform personnel, present, halt! Hold up! Halt! Ready? Drum major, follow your command.
Please be seated.
Good evening. I'm Brian Rice, and I'm the president of the California Professional Firefighters. And I also have the honor of serving as the chair of the California Fire Foundation. That's the nonprofit organization that was built and maintains this memorial. I'd like to start by thanking Daryl Roberts, our first district vice president, the California Professional Firefighters, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Dennis Rodriguez, for the City of Los Angeles Fire Department, great job on our national anthem. And Kevin Snyder, our senior chaplain here with the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire Department, who offered our invocation. I'd also like to thank and recognize dignitaries and elected officials that are with us today. Governor Gavin Newsom, Superintendent of Public Instruction Tony Thurman, our Attorney General Rob Bonta, and several other elected officials. Thank you so much for being here. I also need to recognize the Fire Chief of the City of Sacramento, Chris Costamagna, the Fire Chief of Sacramento Metropolitan, Adam House, and the Fire Chief of the West Sacramento Fire Department, Steve Binns. I want to thank each of you for your commitment to this memorial and your commitment of personnel and equipment in this honor. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize our IAFF General Secretary Treasurer, Frank Lima, and our entire foundation executive board. This executive board has provided unwavering support for this memorial, and we all thank you for it. We'd also like to recognize our President Emeritus, Dan Terry, who without his vision, we would not be here today. Unfortunately, Dan was unable to join us, but I know that he is with us on the live stream, as well as numerous communities throughout California and probably the majority of on-duty firefighters throughout this state. I want to thank you. Time to come home, dear brother. Your tour of duty is through. You've given as much as anyone could be expected to do. That's a poem that's been adapted from Robert Longley's poem, A Hero's Welcome, which was written to honor fallen soldiers, but Mr. Longley graciously updated it to include firefighters and also police officers. I find it very fitting and the words comforting. As we stand here today, they speak to the loss of everyone who has laid down their life in the service of their community here in California, and that is why we are here. Today that we gather to honor and pay tribute to our fallen brothers and sisters who gave their lives to serve their communities. To those who have given their all to protect their fellow Californians. When they were called to duty, they came through. They gave as much as anybody could be expected to give. For their community, their profession, their brothers and sisters, their state, this ceremony is a tribute to that selfless dedication. But more than that, it's certainly a tribute to the families that stand behind each of these men. And we, as a state, and certainly as fire service professionals, we thank you, and we honor you, and we honor your loved ones here today. This profession is a calling. We go into this job knowing that it can be dangerous, but we don't really fully understand what the risks and dangers are. You find out really quickly once you enter the academy and start your time on the floor in your first assignments. But when we come in, we don't really understand fully the risks that we're taking. And we're faced with a realization now that we're losing our brothers and sisters all too often from a job that each of us loves doing. And we lose some of our members to the horrific tragedy of a building collapse, caught in a flashover, burned over. But more and more, we're losing our brothers and sisters to devastating job-related illnesses and diseases. You know, we've learned over the years that this job is very high risk. But what most of us didn't realize going in, and we're just beginning to scratch the surface on it, is the cost physically of this job to the things that we're exposed to. And many of the things that we're exposed to we can't necessarily control because the science isn't there to do it. But these men and women that are present at this memorial and present here to honor you, they all know that, just as you know that, and we know that. More than half of the members today that we honor going on this wall died of cancer. And today we're learning really quickly about the hidden dangers and the tolls that they take on our well-being and our mental health. We didn't know it, most of us, when we took this job. We didn't realize it was claim as many lives as it does, and it has. And these lives, we're here to remember them for an eternity. That's why we're here today. Their names are etched into the polished limestone walls of the California Professional Firefighters Memorial. And this beautiful memorial in Capitol Park is a place to remember your loved ones, fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, friends that we've lost, colleagues that we've lost. It's a place for all of us to gather and remember and honor their sacrifice. Each of the members that we honor today, they gave their lives in the service of others for you and I. The memorial that graces the heart of Capitol Park is not a cold and imposing venue. Rather, it's intimate. It's an intimate gathering place. It's a place to come and remember loved ones, and it's a place to come and reflect on their lives and their service. And the heart of this memorial wall, which carries the names of more than 1,500 California firefighters. And it's on this wall that your loved one's name is going to be inscribed and remembered forever by the citizens of California. And you will be, and they will be, and are a part of California history. You'll find the memorial's a place for serenity. It's a place to gather. It's a place to come by yourself. It's a place you can reach out and touch the name of a loved one or a fallen friend and share a moment with them. And you've observed that in the last 2 days several times over. Share those moments that are personal, feelings held so quietly in our hearts. Know that when you come here to share and grieve, you're not alone. There's 1,500 brothers and sisters on that wall watching over you. Excuse me. And there are 35,000 firefighters on duty in this state watching over you. We will never forget. There's a bond at this memorial, whether you're a family member or a firefighter coming to pay your respects. We are all connected to the names on this wall. I'll bet there's not a single man or woman in uniform here that doesn't have a personal connection to a firefighter that's on that wall. And more than likely, most of us have more than one connection. 3 individuals being honored on this wall today I personally served with. For Jim and Julie, I'll never forget Tim Merzinski, who left as a fire chief. I kept the rank of captain in 1992 because Tim accepted a position with a city outside the American River Fire Department. But Tim was more than that. He had a standard, and I caught him one night as a probationary firefighter in the kitchen at about 8:45 doing the windowsills of all things. And so what do you do as a probationary firefighter? You jump in and help out. The Captain Merzinski stopped me, and he said, "Firefighter Rice, I have a standard, and my standard is high, And I'm not doing this so that you can come and meet my standard. I want you to develop the same high standard, but it's your standard. I never forgot that, and that was almost 40 years ago. I think of Jeff Vitti and the time that he gave, not only to our department, but to train, while working at one of the busiest engine companies, to train an entire department on crash fire rescue. And Robin, Tyler, and Morgan, we want to thank you for the time that your dad gave to us. We'll never forget that. Kyle Rutherford, I didn't get to know him very well, but when I asked about him to try to learn a little bit more, words like, he's the firefighter you want kicking your door in. He's the medic you want on his hands and knees treating your loved one. He's a family man. He was a man of faith. And Tim Strack, captain with the Riverside Fire Department. I served on the executive board of the California Professional Firefighters with Tim. Wendy and Maddie, I know you're here somewhere. He is loved, and we watched him love his brother and sister firefighters of the Riverside Fire Department. We watched him love his city and his community and give everything that he had. And then 1 week ago to this day, Captain Robert Bruce, Bob Bruce, succumbed to job-related cancer after a 12-year battle. Bob was instrumental in CPF and the JAC program, helping to deliver training to young firefighters and would-be firefighters, and was instrumental in being part of the pre-employment academy for EMT. And Bob blazed a trail. He never stopped working. For these things, each of these guys that we've lost, they gave back. They gave back to their community. They gave back to their department. They gave back to their families, and they gave back to their union. And we cannot thank them enough for the road that they paved. And these are just ones that I have a contact with. There are several more. And there's not enough time in the day to touch each one of these lives personally. And I hope that you understand that when we see these names and we see your loved ones, we see them as men that were family men, that they left a family behind, that they have moms and dads and sons and daughters. That means a lot to us. As we get older and we gain more years, these losses get more and they get more personal. And believe me, for every firefighter in this room, this is very personal. We're seeing more and more of our friends, people that we shared a jump seat with, people that we were on a roof with, people that we pulled hose lines with, being memorialized on this wall. We share the bond, and we share this bond with the families that are here with us today. We also, with those families, when they're back home, we will continue to support you from afar. Do not hesitate to call upon us or to call upon your brothers and sisters in the community that they're serving. If you call, we will answer, and we will be there. We're connected through loss, and it's what binds us together. And we lean on each other and we support each other. These are really difficult moments for all of us. It's one of the many things firefighters are incredible at, coming together as a family, supporting our family members that are hurting, and being there with them and paying the honor and the tribute that these men deserve and earned. But as we support each other in this time of loss, this memorial also reminds us that we have obligations to the men and women whose names are on the wall, and more importantly, to the families that they leave behind. And we take that obligation very seriously. The bond that we have with you is one of the most important and meaningful that we have in this profession. It's a bond that calls us to be here for you and your family and your loved ones. We can never fill the hole left behind in the loss that you're suffering in your family, but we will do what we can to ease your burden. So today, as we honor 35 names of California's bravest who paid with their lives for our safety and well-being of our communities, into the annals of California history, we give them a hero's welcome. So take your place of honor among those who have gone before you, and you will be remembered for now and evermore. With that, I would like to introduce the 40th Governor of the state of California, the Honorable Gavin Newsom.
and to the Firefighter Foundation, to Brian and his remarkable team, the spirit of Tim, the folks at CPF. We miss him. I'm glad to hear you recognize Tim. All of you, thank you for the privilege of this opportunity to share a few words with you. And it's nice to see everybody in person. A number of years we were doing this virtually, and privileged last year to host a reception for families of the loved ones that were lost with my wife at the Governor's Mansion, and it's nice to be here with all of you again. I was thinking when the chaplain was talking a little bit of what Brian was just said, I'm reminded the Bible teaches us we're many parts but one body. And when one part suffers, we all suffer. This fundamental notion of mutuality, that relationship, not only all you have with one another that Brian underscored, but the relationship you have to this remarkable family. To the family members, nothing could distill the essence of the why we're here than looking in your eyes as those flags with the names of your loved one pass by, and to see those eyes well up and those memories pour back. And I can't imagine what this moment brings to light, and I hope it gives you some light because of the love that's expressed here. It was a famous jurist by the name of Oliver Wendell Holmes who said that life is action and passion. And he said it was up to all of us to share the action and passion of our time at peril of being judged not to have lived. What he basically was saying is each of us will be judged, and more importantly, ultimately judge ourselves to the extent we contribute to the life of our city, our state, our nation, more broadly, the world we're trying to build. And I think about the world we're living in today, where nations and people quite literally being torn asunder because of racial and religious and ethnic controversies, fueling fanaticism and fueling terror, makes you sort of pause and reflect on a moment like this, the sobriety of this moment. But in so many ways, you're the antidote to all of that. What we're recognizing and celebrating is the life and times of people that tried to make the world a little bit more gentle, that stood tall because they bent down on one knee to help lift other people up. People that came from every conceivable walk of life, political background, different generations, the 35 that we memorialize here today, but all with a singular love, and that was a love for public service, a love for others. In a time we're so consumed with the man or woman in the mirror, the one thing all of those 35 have in common is they were other people oriented every single day. Without fail, they were considering not just themselves, but others they sacrificed for. And ultimately, they sacrificed themselves in that cause. And that cause should distill us with a sense of well-being. That cause should unite every single one of us. That's the antidote to the fear, the antidote to the anxiety, that stacking of stress all of us are struggling through at this moment. And let's just be honest, all of us are struggling through at this moment. It's been a hard few years. Those of you who've lost loved ones, my gosh, I can't even imagine. Seeing those kids and grandkids. I just left my 6-year-old soccer game. I can't even imagine, if he lost his mom. I was here trying to comfort him. Puts everything in perspective, moments like this. And so I want to just thank you for your personal sacrifice to families. I want to thank you for your perseverance, for your example. I want to thank you for the devotion, the cause that unites all of us here today, and that's each other. And I want to thank all of those remarkable heroes who gave the ultimate sacrifice and now are honored on the Heroes' Wall. And that's a testament to this great state. And I'll just close on this. I'm proud of this state because I think the world looks to us to see that it's possible to live together and advance together across so many conceivable differences. It's a remarkable state. And it's made remarkable because of remarkable people. And remarkable people are revealed in moments like this. So thank you for being part of this journey, life. Thank you for those that sacrificed their lives. And thank you to all of the men and women in uniform, the heroes among us that we look up to and we count on. Thank you for your sacrifices today, tomorrow, and thank you to the sacrifices of the brave men and women that we recognize each and every year, this remarkable Firefighters Memorial. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the Sacramento Philharmonic Orchestra and Quartet who graced our ceremony with their performance of Largo from the Double Concerto in D minor by Sebastian Bach. I'd also like to thank Governor Newsom for sharing his thoughts with us. Today, 35 new names are going to be formally added to our distinguished memorial wall across the street on Capitol grounds. And to honor each of these fallen heroes, U.S. flags will be presented to the family members or department representative. After the flags have been presented, Secretary Treasurer of the California Fire Foundation and the California Professional Firefighters, Mike Lopez, will close our program with the traditional last alarm. Joining us to call this year's Roll of Honor is Chief Chris Tubbs, Chief of the Southern Marin Fire District and President of the California Fire Chiefs Association.
Howard Fayette, Oakland. Henry Duty, Oakland. Earl Jones, Oakland. James Waldemeyer, San Luis Obispo. Victor Vega, Richmond.
Order, march. Ready, think.
Stephen Leong, Fresno City. Timothy J. Mrazinski, Rockland. Daniel J. Geary, CAL FIRE. Stephen Wakefield, Crescent City. Peter McElroy, Branciforte. Kyle Rutherford, Sacramento Metropolitan. Matthew Rominger, USMC. Jeffrey Vitti, Sacramento Metropolitan. Anthony Cano, Lakeside. Marcus Pacheco, U.S. Forest Service.
Dirt Farm. Ready? Hey.
Matthew Bravo, CAL FIRE. Stephen McCann, Los Angeles County. Nicholas Ramirez III, San Diego. Heath Kelly, South San Francisco. Roberto Medina, National City. Jack E. Shepard, San Ramon Valley. Russell N. Nakamura, Los Angeles City. Brian Falk, Kern County. Matthew Clapsaddle, Ventura City. Jerry G. Welton, Monrovia.
Order, on. Ready, wait. Ready, wait.
Carl Hegley, San Bernardino County. Michael Horton, San Bernardino County. Michael J. Tooley, Orange County. Scott K. Gomes, CAL FIRE. Mark Schmidt, Kern County.
Order, arm. Right, face. Ready, face.
John J. McNellis, Barstow. Paul Crimmins, City of San Rafael. Miguel Cervantes, Rancho Cucamonga. Stephen Padgett, Oakland. Timothy Strack, Riverside.
The first name on the California Firefighters Memorial is that of James Welsh, a San Francisco firefighter who paid the ultimate sacrifice in 1851. In Brother Welsh's time, firefighters were called to service by the ringing of a bell. It was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Throughout the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight the fire. When the fire was out, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of that call. And when a firefighter had died in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was a mournful toll of the bell that announced a comrade's passing. Much of this has changed in over 160 years, but the traditions of our profession survive. These traditions reflect honor and respect for those who have given so much and who have served so well. As a tribute to the courage and sacrifice, we ring the last alarm, a signal of 3 rings, 3 times each. It represents the end of our comrades' duties and that they will be returning to quarters. As it was for Brother Welsh when our state was new, we honor our 35 fallen brothers and sisters for their selfless devotion to duty with their last alarm. Their duties well done. They are going home.
Uniform personnel, attend, halt! Present, halt!
At this time, I would like to ask all uniformed personnel forming the Sea of Blue to fall in behind the pipes and drums and stage on 13th Street for our procession to the California Firefighters Memorial. All others remain seated, please.
Honor guard, ready, peace. Drum major, by your command. Honor guard, ready. Honor guard, out on tap. Forward, march.
Once the Sea of Blue is out of the hall, we'll watch a short video tribute, and that'll give our pipes and drum band and the Sea of Blue time to form up. At the conclusion of that, we'll dismiss the families. I'll give further instructions. I want to thank everyone for their patience as we move all the firefighters out. I think you're looking at a pipes and drum band that is at least 100 strong, and then you will be accompanied to the memorial wall by approximately 500 firefighters. And once there, you can spend some time at the wall as families. So I just ask and thank you for your continued patience.
Every time I come here, it's powerful because I see new names, different names, people I've known for many, many years, and it never loses that.
Things strike people differently, but for me, and I read these names, they met the moment.
When I first became involved with this memorial project, I had a great appreciation for it, but I had no idea the impact.
It has taken more than a decade for the California Firefighters Memorial to pass from a distant dream to the reality that we are about to unveil today. It carries the names and the names of 855 men and women, 855 different stories, every one of them important to you, the firefighters, important to all of us as citizens of California.
The single, driving force behind all of this, and so much for California firefighters in the last 40 years, was Dan Terry. I mean, it was his vision that saw not only the need, but the path to get this memorial actually built. And that's saying a lot.
When I originally thought about this, and I thought, okay, it's a wonderful thing. And I went to the one in Colorado Springs that the International has. But I thought, there's all kinds of people that'll never go to Colorado Springs or never be able to. So we need to have a place for those members and those families to have their own memorial.
I was kind of there on the ground floor. Later on, I was appointed to the site selection committee and went through that process. When we walked this very piece of ground, I remember thinking, boy, this would be a nice spot.
Everybody said, well, you can't do that there. Well, we said, well, why can't we? It's a park, it's a public park, it's the home of the state capitol. Well, you just can't do that there. So we ended up literally having to pass a bill that says we could do it there.
Probably in the mid-late 90s, you really become aware that they're going to build a firefighters memorial at the Capitol grounds, and the awareness really started with the license plates.
There's zero public money involved in this. We, as a profession, got together and we did it, whether it be a license plate. There was people raising money for us all over the state, and so it's theirs too.
When you're involved or have knowledge of a memorial from the very ground floor, that the history and the true meaning. Every time I come here, it's in your chest.
Let me tell you, this is a living memorial. Every statue here has some significance.
One of the ones that really captures me is fallen brother, Jerry Shannon, a firefighter in San Francisco, and the rescue that he did.
Who actually cut a woman out of the Loma Prieta earthquake and saved her life at great peril to his own. That's him.
Members of the Sacramento Fire Department took the fallen brother statue off of the truck and assisted in setting it where it is today. That was handled by on-duty firefighters from this city.
The other statues, every one has some significance. The California Fire Service is diverse. We have an African American advancing that line. We have a Latino advancing the line. We have a young man who actually was killed in a fire from Cal Fire. And we have one of the absolute first women fire chiefs in the state of California.
So to honor all in our profession and to honor their loved ones who also give so much, it's now my distinct privilege to ask for the unveiling of Fallen Brother.
And I know every one of us is excited and proud that our loved one's sacrifice will be immortalized on the wall behind me. But I also know there isn't one among us that wouldn't give up all that excitement and pride for one more day with the person whose name is etched on the wall. I ask for the unveiling of Holding the Line.
Huge amounts of people here, lots of TV. It was a big, big thing in Sacramento. And I think at that point is when I realized, wow, this is really something we can be proud of.
Our annual memorial ceremony is important. Obviously, the firefighters that we honor, the pipes and drum band, the activities that we do with respect to the presentation of the flag, the reading of the names, the ringing of the bell, grounded in fire service tradition that goes back hundreds of years.
It is always about the families and the loved ones that they lost. What I want them to always remember is I hope they come back to this place to visit.
We continue to honor it and preserve it because it's not only a legacy, but also it's a piece of every one of us.
I hope that the family members that are here can walk away from seeing the name, and it's emotional when you see that. On the other hand, I hope they know that it's theirs, and it's theirs to bring their children to, their grandchildren to, and it'll be there forever for them.